I never talked to them boys that sat on them benches. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Now it's time to go to work. Mic check. Mine's a little delayed. It looks a little delayed. Hold on. Let's make sure I'm getting everything right for y'all. Well, man, that sounds like an echo or something. Bear with me, y'all. Some of the, yeah, that's why. Okay. And okay, now let's try that. That should sound a lot better. We should sound a lot better now. Yeah, way better. Way better. All right, cool. Let me turn the volume down a little bit. My bad. As y'all can see, I did some moving around. So some of my settings were off. What's going on with everybody, man? Yeah, we sound a lot better now. Okay. It's been a minute. I know we ain't talked in a minute. And you know me, I don't like to just do stuff just to do it, but tonight I'm doing something just to do it because I ain't got nothing else to do and I ain't got nothing else to talk about. So I'm on here Sunday night kicking it and want to see what y'all basically a little open forum, see what y'all want to talk about tonight. Let y'all drive the conversation tonight. I don't really have anything to go over. I mean, there's a little bit here and there. Florida State is recruiting, looks very promising. They're trending for a lot of big names, which is good to see. You know, I'm still in the boat of let's wait till we actually land some of these guys before we start throwing the parade. But just to see that you're trending in the right direction is good is a good thing. You know, but we've been here before. We've trended in the right direction for prospects before, and then you know, it didn't happen. But I think we all have a different feel when it comes to this season, just because of the expectations and what we expect this team to do and perform. Like, and I'll be honest, I've sat back, right, and I've tried to I've sat back and I've tried to think what could happen. But barring injuries, of course, like injuries is always the key factor in anything. But barring let's take injuries out of the equation, obviously. And even to a certain degree, injuries don't quite worry me. Obviously, that quarterback position, if you lose Travis, you never know how that ends up. But throw that part away. Because even I feel like, man, I think, you know, we could afford to lose a guy or two in certain positions, maybe most positions. If we lost the offensive lineman, would anybody be panicking? I'm not so sure. The unthinkable happens and Trey Benson goes down. Will we be panicking? I don't really think so. Johnny can't go for the season. We're in a very, very, very like prime position that we haven't been in a long time. I don't think Not only do I not think injuries are a killer for this team, I can make an argument injuries could open up opportunities for some other key players that we've been dying to see. If Benson goes down, and a lot of people think Isaiah Holmes is going to be that dude anyway. But if and I knock on this is glass, but I'll knock on here's wood. I'll knock on wood right now. But if Benson was to go down, people have been licking their chops to watch this guy, Keziah Holmes. And then Rodney Hill's going to get up. You know what I'm saying? If Johnny goes down, I mean, we already lost Micah Pittman. And a lot of people don't feel like again, it's not Micah Pittman hate. I don't think anybody hates Micah Pittman. I think most of the fan base likes Micah Pittman a lot. But a lot of people are really interested to see if Micah potentially not playing this season, or at least who knows when he comes back, who takes that next step. And I think that's the case across the board on this team. That really gives us, it really makes us we are just in a position where, as I try to sit back and I try to say to myself, what would have to go wrong for Florida State to not win at least 10 games, regular season games, right? We won 9 this last season, up the ante to 10, 11, whatever. But what would have to happen? It would have to be like the plague would have to hit the university. Like something crazy would seriously have to happen, because I just don't see it, right? I just don't see it. And so let's do a real quick roll call. I see Briley in the comments talking trash. So I won't ask you to ring my doorbell since Briley want to talk. That's fine. Damn it. You better hit my like button though. Tyler heading in the building. Remember the 863 tribe. Jeff in the building. Actually, I think Jeff just became a member of the tribe. Yes, he did. Shout out to my man Jeff, who just became a member of the tribe. And so you already know, Jeff, what happens. You always showing love. There we go.
Name Jeff.
Truth be told, Jeff Allen, Joe Johnson, Chris, a.k.a. Sporadics, Davius Freeman, Vontae B, Briley talking trash, Gaming Wizard, Terrell Thomas, EMG, Vontae B, Florida State Love Member 863 Tribe. Vontae B is also member 863 Tribe. Let me not forget. William Irv Gotti in the building. Also a member of the tribe. And am I forgetting anybody? I don't think so. Peter Shields in the building. Member the 863 Tribe. Montre, I see you. William with the $5 dono says Dustin Hill will take input. You know, I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to do it tonight. We're going to entertain it. You know, apparently it's real smoke again. It was real smoke this time last year too, if you don't remember. But we're going to talk about it because everybody's swearing. They got their hand on the Bible swearing that it's real this time. Same people that said it was real last time, but now they know something different. So we'll talk about it. Shout out to William for the $5 donation, by the way. And let's do this one.
Clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
I think Travis Heath. So let's talk about it. I don't know. Where do we start? Y'all want to start with Dustin Hill? I like what Briley actually says right here, though. Because I agree with this. If you remember, actually, I don't know. I don't know if it was on my own show or if I was actually on Sporadics. I think he asked me this question, and we were talking about Bell, and we were talking about a play. What plays would I like to see them implement for him? I think Chris asked me this. Don't recall 100%. I do remember answering this question, so I'm pretty sure it was him. But he asked me, it was like, what plays or how do I think they'll use Bill, or how would I like to see them use Bill? I think might have been the exact question or something along those lines. And I specifically said there's a certain play that they ran routinely with Micah Pittman. They ran it for some other wide receivers. For instance, they would run this play with Deuce Spann, and Deuce Spann, in fact, they ran it with Deuce Spann in the first game, second game against LSU, and he actually broke off like 10 or 15 yards or something like that. And it's the end around, a little end around they run with Micah Pittman. Sweep, whatever you want to call it, or he comes out of the slot, gets the handoff, and runs. Yeah, I think that is the play that I think Jaheim Bell will excel in. Where when they ran that play with Micah, man, I just really didn't feel like it. Really didn't feel like it clicked. You know what I mean? For Micah. So that's just me. Audio's behind. Yeah, I saw that audio was lagging a little bit. I'll tell you what. Give me one quick second. We're gonna see. Let me exit. Let me exit the stream and come back in. Give me a quick minute. Okay. Am I back on par? Now that I exited and came back, or am I still lagging a little bit? It looks like I'm lagging slightly. Look like it got a little better, but I am still my lips aren't quite syncing. Yeah, it is what it is. It is this new platform I'm using, which is exit this. So that might be it. It is a little better. Yeah, I see that too, Ty. It's a little better, but not perfect. Yeah. So we'll just have to deal with it. I'll figure this stuff out. And don't worry. Don't worry. But I got a $10 dono who says that's from a man Irv. The Dust in the Hill talk is like napalm. It just keeps burning. It'll never go away. I'm gonna tell you, I said this after last year that I didn't want to hear about it anymore. I actually thought we were done with it, to be quite honest with you. I thought we were done with it. But here we are, a year later, and we're back with it. I don't know if it's real or not. Again, I don't know. I don't know anything. Appreciate your Irv.
Get more money, get more money.
But we're gonna get into Dustin Hill in a minute, but I want to get back to what Briley was talking about, and it was that specific play with Michael Pittman, as I talked about earlier. I don't feel like injuries kill this team in the slightest, because it's just we got guys that are waiting in the wings that are ready or getting ready. They want a chance to prove, they want a chance to show what they can do. So it's a good comment by Briley. Yeah, that was you. I figured, I remember the question. I just didn't remember where it was. I guess I got better with the audio. Well, that's good. And this is okay. So let's talk about Dustin. It's spelled like Destin. So let's talk about Destin. At the time, I felt like he was at the time, 2-3 years ago, whatever the hell it was, he was obviously the man. He was the man of the class. He was the highest rated guy. FSU's receiver room could have drastically used him 2 years ago when it was literally probably the worst we had ever seen it. I mean, wow, it was bad 2 years ago with Milton, with the revolving quarterback door that we had, and all of that. Right, the receiver room wasn't very good. He came in with he was in the same class as Malik. You know, him and Malik was supposed to be the cornerstones of turning the wide receiver room around. Malik is no longer on the roster. Dustin never enrolled. But here we are. The better question, like Tyler asked, why do we take? Should we take him, Florida State fans? 863 Tribe, Seminole family. Should we take him? Because we're already 5. I think we're about 5 over the cap limit right now. We're about 5. We got to get rid of about 5 Scallies after spring, or before the season starts. We'll say that before the season starts. I believe the numbers 5 are in that area. What does adding Destin really bring to you? Because now you're gonna up more scholarships that you got. If you think we should take him, my question is why? After 2 years of no activity, I don't know what he's done in this 2 years. Again, I never really speculate on why he didn't enroll. Heard all the rumors that y'all probably heard. Never really spoke on them because they were all rumors. You couldn't confirm anything. I'm sure he's working or has worked out, stayed active to a degree, I'm pretty sure. Hasn't had any type of game speed in 2 years. Do you think he has a copy of the playbook or ever had a copy of? My question is, what should you take him from a scholarship standpoint and from a player standpoint? Do you take him? How good is? How much is he bringing to the room? That's my question to y'all. I'm curious to know the answers. I don't really have a thought one way or the other. Dang, Jeff, almost missed your $10, man. I see you. I think we're pretty deep in every position. The only thing that worries me is quarterback. If we lose Jay Trav, but I think we're okay besides that. There were a little thin safety and backer. I agree with everything you just said. I agree. Backer is still worrying if you lose one of the 2 starters, though. I think you have more capable bodies than you had. I mean, Omar Graham's been a year in the program, so he should at least be capable of playing some snaps for you this year. Brendan Gant has apparently gotten over 200 pounds. He was like 190 last year. I don't care what they say. I don't care what they listed him as. He's apparently he's apparently about as big as Kalen DeLoach right now. And Kalen DeLoach is not big, so we're not going to pretend like he's big. I don't know if Brendan Gant's even that big, but we'll see. So you might be a little bit more capable. And I think even though the guy's not an early enrollee, you can't convince me that baby Luke might be the most, naturally gifted player at linebacker. Well, you can't convince me that he can't somehow, squeeze his way in there. I know he wasn't an early enrollee, but I do agree with you. And then definitely at safety. But we've known safety's been a weak spot for a little minute now. So definitely agree with you there. Let's hit the like button, by the way. So let's get
Jeff.
and then, like I said, hit my like button, like Greg Jones hits DBs.
Go your motherfucking ass to sleep. Whoa, shit, what the fuck good buddy hit me with? I told him I wasn't sleepy. He had to have a brick in that bitch.
Now, And also one more point to Jeff's point. Jordan Travis, obviously, that's the obvious one, right? The thing about that one is, and I agree, I'm still not sold on Tate. Maybe I'm in the minority. I don't know. One half of good football doesn't convince me that he would be ready in the event that his number was called on for an extended period of time. He showed that he can do it in a half. Could he do it for a couple games? I hope we don't have to find out. And I'm also hoping that Duffy is actually pushing his way to maybe being the answer. And that's not a knock on Tate. It's not that I just haven't seen it. And, again, one half of football, maybe it all clicked there and it's all uphill from there. But I also have a bunch of other clips of Tate being the opposite. So, but Irv says he would still take him. Marcus says he'll bring speed. Jeff says Dustin here is real and he actually comes in. He's in shape. I'm pretty sure. See, here's the thing. I'm sure he's in shape. Is he in football shape? I don't think so. No amount of practices, in my opinion, or whatever it was he's been doing for the last 2 years. I don't know if he's in football shape. I doubt it. Truth be so says absolutely a take. Most definitely ain't took a hit, let alone a college hit in 2 years. Ain't caught a pass in 2 years either, and that's the name of the game, but we'll see. I don't know if he's in trouble or not. William says because we're losing Wilson and Winston. Yeah, but that doesn't really, I don't know. I'll read the rest of these comments and then I'll get on this for a little bit. Tyler says, I see it like this. We have the ability to add one, maybe two more players. Should we use that spot on a receiver? I would rather you. Thank you. I think there are other glaring, maybe not glaring, but there are other critical positions that we might have to address. Plus, in the spring, it happens every year. So I know we knock on wood and we don't. Somebody, I expect, if it doesn't happen, hallelujah. It happened with Caden Lyles last year. A guy that we thought would be on the field for us. Came spring, he was out for the season. It's almost like it's bound to happen. And you remember, once Caden Lyles goes down, what do we do post-spring? We bring in Demetri Emmanuel. So to Tyler's outstanding point here, there we go. To Tyler's outstanding point, should we use that on a receiver? If, again, we can knock on wood all we want, an injury happens to a key position that we can still address in the portal. Why use up a spot on a receiver that, if we're being honest, I'm not going to say that part yet. I'm going to read the rest of the comments, but you got to see where I'm going. Gino English Heisman year. And yeah. Chris, Orlando want to check in. He never fails me. What is going on, my man, Chris? Always checking in from the great city of Orlando, the home of Mickey Mouse and company. Let's go with, which one have we? Let's go with this one.
Tell ass on with the Seminoles. I've been getting to this paper, focus on my goals. Trying to run this money up and pull up in the road. All these talking gangster, that shit getting old.
Rob Costa says, Chris Winkie didn't play football for years and came back fine. Chris Winkie also was what? Playing baseball? He wasn't dealing or doing whatever Destin was. And they played completely opposite positions, obviously. But he was still playing a sport. We don't know what Dustin Hill's been doing. We don't know. I don't even see that. I don't see that as a possibility. I don't think he comes all the way from Louisiana. Do you think so? Because I don't. I don't think he comes from Louisiana 2 years after the fact just to walk on. I would almost make the argument for Dustin. Let's say he is indeed coming back to football. Instead of walking on to FSU, he's got this speed and everything that we keep saying. What's stopping Dustin for saying XFL? I'm just saying, like, why? He's already, what is Dustin? He's going to be 21. He's going to be 21 years old. Why not just work out and try out for an XFL team? He can do the same things in the XFL that he's going to do in college and still enter the draft. I don't know, man. Jeff with another $10. He says, well, if he gets in football shape and if he still didn't, the most talented receiver 2 years ago, that's still him. Both of those factors are reality when you can't turn down a kid of talent. Well, here's the thing. Okay, so this is the point that I was holding on a little bit. And appreciate you for another $10, Jeff. Seriously, it just never gets old, man. You are the GOAT. You are the GOAT for real.
Bitch, be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down.
So here's the point I want to make, though. Or here's the point. This is kind of what I think. And I'm not saying don't take them, but I think when you start crunching numbers and you start looking at potential injuries in the spring, and you know, O-linemen always got ankles that get rolled up on and all these things that happen. Have we not out or over recruited a Dustin Hill at this point? Malik McClain wasn't considered that far off from Dustin Hill coming out of high school. Dustin Hill was the number one player on our team. I think he was a top 75 or top 100 player, if I'm not mistaken. Dustin was. Malik McClain wasn't that far behind him. Now, I don't have the rankings up here, but I can go look. They were both 4-star wide receivers. You add Johnny Wilson. You had all the big transfer class last year. You're getting Winston right back. Does Vandarius Jacobs not bring you what Dustin Hill probably was bringing you? I'm just asking because I kind of see or feel that way. Hakeem Williams is a better prospect than Dustin Hill. They are right now trending for a lot of, again, even if he redshirts this year, which there's no doubt if he did enroll, he would redshirt this year. And let's just assume an educated guess, a very well-educated guess, that wide receiver class this year is going to be pretty spectacular, just from everything and the way it's trending. Does Dustin Hill really fit? And even if he does, is he a need? We're not lacking for playmakers right now. Is he a need? They just spent the whole tour of duty telling y'all how great Darian Williamson's about to be. Now he has elite level potential. So where's Dustin Hill fit in that? Well, he don't fit nowhere in that year one. At least I don't think so. I think everybody's in agreement. If he, by some miracle, does enroll after May, which I think is the time frame, around May or whatever he's set to enroll. If that happens, he don't fit in this year. Now, Winston's going to be gone. Micah, if he does miss a year, I expect Micah Pittman to try to get a waiver. I think he would want to play his last year. And then Johnny has another year of eligibility. I think we all expect Johnny to go after this year, but you never know, right? You never know. And then next year, you're going to be talking about, everybody's going to be looking at guys like Keem and there's this, Tron, or there's going to be a lot of guys that next year that's going to be looked to take those spots, including what's expected to be an electric freshman class of receivers. I'm just, if we were still struggling at recruiting the position, then yeah, I say you take them. I'm not so. I'm not saying you don't take them. I just don't think it's white and black. I don't think it's just a straight go or no go here. Like, oh yeah, he's a take. I think there are other needs. I guess maybe that's why he's coming after May. Again, don't know the situation, because that's around the time frame that spring will be done, and they'll know what maybe they need to address on this roster post spring. It's just a lot. Just a lot that goes to that. Marcus says, honestly, after 2 years, Norvell still wants Hill. I think that's a good sign. I don't know if he knows anything that we don't, other than maybe what was wrong. I think he definitely knows what the issue was. That's what he knows that we don't know. And I'm not saying he won't be really good. I want to be clear. When I pose these questions and I play devil's advocate and I throw these rebuttals, it's not me saying a kid is trash. Like, I'm not saying Dustin's trash. I'm saying in the grand scheme of things. Let me put it to you like this. We want to get back to elite level. And we all believe that we're on the path to that. I think everybody in this chat would agree. All 57 people would agree. We are on the path to that. We're not there, but we're on the path to getting back to where we want to go. Would Georgia take Dustin Hill at this point, 2 years later? Would Bama? Would Ohio State? Not saying we're those programs, but look at our receiver room and look where we're trending and where we're trying to go. I just posed that question, and it's not because the kid isn't talented, doesn't have potential, but they recognize the priorities that the team has going forward. Is a wide receiver 2 years past the due date a priority at this point? Now, maybe Mike and company, there's been talks that they're kind of having, I won't say have to, but it's a good look for them to keep their word. Maybe that there was a promise that was put out to him, that when your situation got resolved, whatever that was, again, I don't know what that was, that you got a spot and we'll have that open for you whenever maybe that happened and that's what they're doing. But even then, no coach should be held to that, because things change drastically. The wide receiver room literally did a complete 180 in 1 year. It did not take 3 years to build the receiver room. It literally took one offseason of transfer guys, and it completely rehauled that wide receiver room. I'm just not so sure he's a necessity. And if he was any other elite level program, I'm not so sure they would even be blinking at a Dustin Hill. But that's just kind of how I'm thinking about it. I think we'll have a handful of guys. I agree. Man, T-Bugs, them Guardians look garbage. I've been saying Zane and Schrader the longest. I'm hoping Estes sticks around because I actually like Estes. But if he does, it wouldn't surprise me. Think about it. He's at it 2 years. And this is the point, Vontae B, that I'm trying to make. He's going to sit 2 years. Or he's going to redshirt. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up. He's going to redshirt this year. I don't care what you think of Dustin Hill. I don't care how good you think he will be. He is going to redshirt this year. He's going to need a lot of work from he hasn't played football in 2 years. So he redshirts this year. It's going to be 3 years. Now, at least in this third year, he'll at least be around the game, scout team, all that good stuff. That's going to be 3 years without any game time, nothing. I don't know, man. I don't know. Jacobs is making big noise in spring too. If Hill wasn't it, best believe Norvell would have moved on. Look, everybody let's not pretend. I get it, right? We're trending very well. Like, I hate to be this guy because I don't like to come off as I'm like a negative person, because I'm really not. Let's not act like they haven't missed on evaluations. Kobe Gross was a gross negligence of a miss. Jordan Eubanks was another one. Okay. They have taken guys that I won't say we, because I was one that was like, don't, but y'all in the chat have said, oh no, that guy has it. No. Okay. They took a couple backers this class that we'll see. Okay. Let's not act like if Hill wasn't it, they would have moved on. Everybody misses on evaluations. I'm not knocking them for missing on evaluations because it happens. But I don't like to pretend also that they've done nothing but hit on everything that they've ever, that they've ever brought into the program, because that's not true. That's not true for any coach, not just Mike. I just want to be clear. He's not getting. Does he care about a college degree? I'm not. Maybe he does. I don't know. Those players 3 years. And they go to the NFL, they don't get a college degree then either. Do you think these kids are in college to get college degrees? No, seriously. Do you think any elite level player in college right now, there's a very small percentage of them that actually care? Because if they care, all of them would stay to their 4th year and actually graduate. Most of them, the good ones, obviously, they're 3 and done. Whether that's a redshirt year and 2 or 3 straight years and done. Most don't care about a college degree. Not saying he does or doesn't. I think there's just a lot of assumptions going on right now. Briley says, bottom line, we don't know anything that Norvell knows. We don't know why he's been out, what kind of shape he's in, or what Hill's attitude is now. Mike has earned my trust and talent eval. Jeff says, don't disagree. You made all good points, but he's still the talent that he was 2 years ago. Worst thing can happen is he'll transfer gamble. Yeah, but see, Jeff, that's kind of where I say I thought we were past that. The whole, worst case scenario, he transfers thing. Like, we let me ask you, it's a serious question. If you take Hill and then in 2 years he transfers, everybody's going to say, well, what was the point of taking Dustin Hill? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. FSU will say those British wouldn't take Hill 2 years removed from college football. I know they wouldn't. What's going on, my local or my Louisville fan? Jeff Brom is here putting the ACC on notice. This video isn't for you, Marco, but I got to show you this. This is, we put Louisville on notice.
Jeff.
Clip in the back. Okay, that's for you, Marco. Appreciate you for tuning in tonight. Marcus says, none of those guys that I mentioned were as highly rated as Hill. That's true. None of them weren't as highly rated as Hill. None of them also sat out for 2 years and didn't play football for 2 years as well. Would Hill still be rated as high? I bet that Hill, if he somehow was able to enter, if he entered the portal or something, his rankings would not be what they were 2 years ago. Just a lucky guess on my part. But you're absolutely right. No, none of those guys were rated as high as Hill was. Ed says, come on, Polk, you can call him a bust. He would still be on the top receivers. Come on, Polk, you can call him a bust. He would still be on one of the top receivers, even in the 23. You think so? See, I'm not so sure about that. Man, I'm not so sure about that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do it because I want to see. I don't remember exactly where Hill ranked in the 2020 class or 21 class. I'm going to look, though. And I want to look because now I'm curious. I believe it was 21 class. Let's go to wide receivers. Destin Hill. I'm scrolling. Destin Hill was the 20th overall receiver, 151 nationally. That I'm looking at it right now. If you don't believe me, I'll bring it up. That's where he finished at before he sat out. Now he was ranked higher than Marvin. He's actually ranked one spot higher than Marvin Harrison Jr., who's killing it, and one spot below Malik Neighbors, who we'll see game 1. But that's where he was. He was right there. So would he be a top 20 receiver in 2023? Well, let's see. Obviously, we know Hakeem, that he's probably not better than. I'm just trying to see where Jacobs finished. I want to see where is Jacobs at? I see Goldie. Goldie finished. But this must be that's the composite. So Jacobs and Goldie finished top 60, somewhere around there. So, okay, he finishes, you're assuming he's the same player he was 2 years ago. He's in the same ballpark. I mean, I don't know, man. It's real tough for me to, it's tough to answer that question. Like, would he finish in last year's receiver class was absolutely loaded with Ennis and Hakeem and the boy out of Louisiana, and then last year's class was loaded. I don't know. I think that's a tough sell for me. What's going on, Panama? Will says he's not as talented as he was 2 years ago, and those were gap years. I don't know if he's still talented. I think it's a good question to have. It's a good conversation to have, which is why we're having it. Prices can't be past that when we are assigning classes ranked around 20. Might be past that soon, but we're not there yet, even if we want to be. Classes are ranked 20. That has nothing to do, the overall class has nothing to do with the receiver class, though. Okay, we've already acknowledged that the receivers, last year's class with Hakeem, Jacobs, and Lawrence, really good. You're combining that with the portal that they completely killed with Johnny, Micah, and then again, you expect Winston Wright to be, in that mix. I just don't know. And then we're talking about the 24 class, maybe stacking on top of that, because that's who he's going to be competing against. If we're being completely honest, again, he ain't contributing this year. You're going to be stacking him against the 24 class. Now he's going to be older than all those guys, so we'll see. I think Tyler's the only one to me that makes sense from a number standpoint. We all are in agreement that quick question, anybody thinks he's playing year 1? Because this is where I'm at. We're over 5 scholarships. And if you're not getting a guy who's going to come in and contribute right now, I'm not sure why you take that. Unless any of y'all think he's really going to play off the street after 2 years. If he can, then more power to Hill. Straight up. I will shut the hell up. Marco, man, he says, kind of asked for that. Did you have to? Yeah. What up, Damien? Bro, he's not taking a. He's not walking on. I'd be shocked if they can. If he was walking on, why would he come all the way to Tallahassee to walk on? I don't see it. Now, if he did, of course, no one's gonna have an issue with you taking Dustin Hill as a walk-on. Zero issues with that. I just would be shocked. I'd be shocked if he did it. I'd just be shocked. Right, take him. Yeah, exactly. Like, I just, Hey, Travis brings up a huge point here. Travis brings up a great point here. He was a part of that. He was part of the initial COVID class. That class that we're talking about, this was the class where a lot of guys, man, really didn't pan out as good as some people thought. Some were good. Some of those guys, like James Williams, take a little dig at Miami a little bit. I mean, I think he's been a solid player for him. But has he been great? I mean, Drake May's a part of that class. So shout out to Drake. What about Jay Sean Marshall? We'll take a dig at the other Florida school corner at Palmetto. He's one of the Palmetto 5. Been okay. He's been okay. Ja'Cory Brooks. Is it safe to say that class also had a lot of there wasn't a lot to go by on that class. A lot of guys ended up not being the goods. So Jeff doesn't think he's playing year one. Marcus thinks he's coming off the street and playing year one. Marcus says, and Marcus, I don't want to pick on you, but he said, yeah, he's playing this year. Even if it's kick return, that speed plays. Well, Deuce Spann has that speed. And did Deuce Spann play? How many snaps Deuce Spann had on the year? They couldn't even get Deuce Spann on kick returns. Deuce Spann had been playing football. And Deuce Spann is 6'5" or 6'4", whatever he is. William thinks Hill will play this year. Montre says we need him for next year if he's still a real person. Take the name out of it. Should Mike? I think man, Tyler's just doing my job for me. If you took the name Dustin Hill off and put my name on there, put Adrian and put my name on there, everybody be like, man, hell no, you don't take that light-skinned dude on YouTube. Because it's Dustin Hill, and we've been talking about Dustin Hill for 2 years. But like he said, if you took the name off of it and it was just take this receiver out of the portal, I guarantee you most of y'all would be like, we don't need to use a burn one on a receiver out of the portal. I think most people would think that. Ed says they're not saying he's working out, running routes every day. I know it's not football conditioning, but I don't think I'll take that long to get in game shape. Oh, he's still young. He's still young. He's not old. Not saying he's like 40, 30, 21 or somewhere around there. You're not wrong. Still in his physical prime, or not even reaching his physical prime, right? He's still getting there. He's still climbing. No pun intended. So I don't disagree with none of that. I don't disagree with him being a talent. I don't disagree with that. He can be good. I don't disagree that he can still be in shape, and even though he hasn't played, he's still young and can still whatever find his way. I think where I disagree with is the place Florida State is as a program, and what we should be. Are we there yet, or are we getting there or not? Because if we're getting there, you have to when you getting to that level, it's time you have to make moves, and we've done an excellent job this offseason of moving like a team in a program in a athletic department that's getting back to the level we want and should be at and have been at by making the smart moves. I mean, look at the way we attacked the transfer portal this year exits and incoming. We didn't take flyers on no. I mean, let's call it for what it's worth. Last year, we took flyers on a Johnny Wilson, who not one other team offered out of the portal. We took a flyer on a Deuce Spann, who was a converted quarterback at wide receiver. Like, let's call it for what it's worth. We took flyers on some guys, but we were at that point where we needed to take flyers. We had just had a 5-win season, started 0-4 and lost to Jackson State or Jacksonville State, not Jackson State. God, we would have lost to Jackson State. Holy cow. Lost to Jacksonville State. Don't tell me after 0-4 and that loss, everybody saw the vision and believed in the climb, because you're full of lies if that's the case. The point is, we were at a point last year in the offseason where we had to take some flyers on some guys. I put it like this. Florida State would not take Bless Harris this year from Lamar like they did last year because they needed to take a flyer on some offensive linemen. Bless Harris would not be a take this year. I guarantee it. Look at the offensive linemen that they actually took. And look at the caliber and just the different caliber of athlete they are compared to, no offense to Bless Harris, but he would not be a take this year. All I'm trying to say is, are we at that point still? Or are we kind of like, we can be picky with who we take? Well, he obviously didn't save him a scholarship. Yeah, because we're over the limit. So that's not true. What's up, Brandon? What's going on? I'm just checking in to see. Yeah, we got to talk about Hill, because even though I want to talk about it. The villain stupid. All this has surely occurred to him, and he's privy to information. I've never called Norvell stupid, and I agree. They are obviously privy to information that we don't know. I wholeheartedly agree with that. Again, this isn't me saying that Hill's trash or he sucks or anything like that. It's just, I'm just interested, interested to see if this actually happens. Montre says that's why he'll take him. He says, meaning Spann played QB in high school. He was the last time Spann even played receiver. That's why Spann didn't play. Well, Spann actually did play receiver last year at Illinois, or the year prior, excuse me. So he actually played. Spann has more recent snaps at receiver than Dustin Hill, but y'all talking about Dustin Hill and on the college level, in the Big Ten and ACC for that matter. I think Trey Benson would have been a take regardless. Obviously, I think us, and I was guilty of that. Just the fact that you took a guy that coming off a knee injury, I think a lot of us didn't understand it. And we all pretty much thought we didn't, or at least I did. I'll say I won't put anybody else in the category with me. But me and people maybe that had my same thought process, we knew we liked to use two running backs. I don't think we thought that the running game would be as successful as it ended up being. Like, I thought Toafili and Trayshawn Ward before getting Trey Benson was perfectly fine just from what we had seen the year prior with Trayshawn Ward and Jayshawn Corbin. I thought, and they still sprinkled in some Toafili in that mix. So I thought they were fine. I think they would definitely still take Trey at this point. Just because they obviously were they were right on the they knew what he was. I think they would still take him, and that's obviously the season he had. It's easy for me to say that, but physically, Trey Benson is that. Where I don't honestly believe, again, if Bless Harris was in the portal this offseason, he's not physically more gifted than none of the offensive linemen we took. Sporadic says, look, 2 years removed is seriously concerning, as it should be. Would I be mad if we took him? He redshirts, getting full. No, I wouldn't be. Again, I'm not going to be mad. This isn't about me being mad. I want to be clear. Of course, I'm not going to be mad if they take him and he redshirts and he's good. Hell, ultimately, I wouldn't be mad if we took him, he redshirts and hit the portal or never played or whatever. Because I think the wide receiver room so healthy, and this is my point, the wide receiver room so healthy, if you take him and he doesn't pan out, what you take him for? I just think we can be picky with who we take, assess certain position groups as injuries and things happen. Again, we didn't get Demetri Emmanuel till after spring cleared up. Caden Lyles goes down. You were able to have a scholarship ready. Will we have that scholarship ready if somebody goes down not expecting and there's a quality player in the portal that we can get? I'm not. And if we don't, everybody's going to say, well, why'd you waste it on a guy who's not going to play this year when I could get your next Demetri Emmanuel, who's going to be an instant impact guy? Whoops, almost knocked my mic over. How deep are we though, Peter? Johnny, Winston, Tron, Williamson, Keem. So we're at least 5 deep. Who am I missing? Jakai, 6. Did I mention Span? I ain't mentioned Span. I don't know if we want to count Span because he hasn't proved anything. And some of these other guys haven't proved it. I mean, we're a good 6, 7 deep, maybe. Oh, snap. My ghost has shown up. I've probably shown up because I think Miami playing basketball tonight. Last time I checked, Miami was actually winning. Marco says, y'all should have hired Prime for head coach. FSU would have #1 recruits class every year. We're not even going to start that conversation up, Marco, but thank you. Yeah, like Bradley said, he's our urban. He's our, what's it called? He's our great white whale or whatever you call it. He's he's what Ahab hunted all those years. That's what he is. That's exactly what he is. And of course I know we want him to be good. Hell, again, I want him to be good. Again, let me be sure I'm being clear. I'm not saying that I don't think the guy's garbage. I don't want him. I'm just asking, if you are running a college program and you were at this stage, FSU's in a key stage of its resurgence, a key stage where, again, I think they've hit it out the park this offseason. They made all the correct moves so far this offseason. Is this one move detrimental to the program? No, I don't think so. But you can still do, you could do something to continue to, I don't think it doesn't kill you, but it could definitely catapult you if it's the right move. And if you waste it on Hill and miss out on something that could have, maybe that's where I'm at with it. But again, no ill will towards Destin Hill, bars, but just saying. With home games, the buzz it's possible our running back room will be better this year, even after losing Ward. Yeah, I think so. No knock on Ward. Y'all know I love me some Trayshawn Ward, but he was undersized and a little bit slow. Great vision, great runner, great patience. That's what made him really good. Zion Holmes is none of those things in terms of undersized and slow. Now, it was going to remain to be seen his patience, his vision, all of those things, footwork, to determine how he ends up being an overall back. But physically, him and Trey are way more gifted than Trayshawn Ward. And you get into that point, you remember FSU once had a running back room that consisted of a Dalvin Cook, a Mario Pender, a Jaquez Patrick, followed by Cam Akers. Well, what is the common denominator in all of those guys I named? Physically, they were gifted, all of them. Jaquez Patrick, to me, is the most disappointing running back maybe in Florida State's history. Because he was all a 6'2", 230, whatever he was, fat, and ran like hell. He was Trayshawn Ward. And what he should have been running like was he was Greg Jones. Speaking of Greg Jones, hit my like button. Hit my like button. That's what he should have been running like this.
Go your motherfucking ass to sleep. Whoa, shit, what the fuck good buddy hit me with? I told him I wasn't sleepy. He had to have a brick in that bitch.
Jacquez Patrick might be the most egregious disappointment in the running back room at a time where FSU had loaded running back rooms. I still say to this day, Mario Pender had some of the most top tier talent that we never got to see. I don't know if he was as good as Dalvin, but he wasn't that far. I don't believe he was that far. Just had problems, had issues from grades and other things. They just couldn't get it right. Pender was good. Our running back room lost Ward because Ward knew that Holmes is the guy. Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense. Again, no knock on Ward, but he ain't as physically gifted as Keziah Holmes. It just is what it is. Briley. Let me get the Brileys. Tyler Hedden, yes. Benson and Holmes spelled with Toafili and Hill, and that doesn't even factor in CJ. Ward was super effective, but that room is every bit as talented, and the O-line is better. I agree with you, Briley. Exactly. And that's where we'll end it on the Dustin Hill talk. I'm glad we got that out the way, and Tyler sums it up perfectly. It ain't about him. It has nothing to do with Hill and what he potentially could be. But 2 years removed on what you kind of have to basically remold this young man, it's about the numbers and what you could possibly have right now, as we're a team and a fan base that's talking about what? A playoff berth. Hill don't get you to the playoffs, guys. I don't know if there's a person in the portal that does, but if I get Dimitri Emmanuel, he might get me to the playoffs. And I know Meach is still on the team, but you see my point. If I can find someone like that, regardless of whatever position I need him at, that could be the guy. 45, 44. Oh, Indiana came back. Man, Miami was up like 20-11 or something like that. So damn, Miami losing. Good. Ain't mad at that. Don't forget, he had offers from a lot of, and none of those colleges want him anymore. 2 years removed. Now, granted, I know he committed to Florida State. Nothing binding with any of that, if I'm not mistaken. But you speak the truth. We really got to carry the momentum from last season, and Holmes got breakaway speed. So get more questions in there, like what Tyler just hit with the running back room, so we can kind of get away from the Dustin Hill talk. I feel like there's a lot of optimism around Dustin, and you know, that's fine. Y'all know me. I like to kind of bring my dose of reality to the situation, and I continuously ask the question when it comes to Hill. Even if he shows up, what do you get? And ultimately, we don't know. And it remains to be seen what we end up getting out of that, if he even shows up, which, again, I still don't think he enrolls, but that's from being lied to, you know, last couple years. So there's that. How you feel about this Ireland game? I'm for it. The only thing I don't like about it, and maybe I don't know if the time's been announced, but I think last year somebody played in Ireland. I don't remember, but weren't they on like 6 a.m? Now, when I was in Hawaii, I was used to waking up like that early to watch football because I had to. I kind of don't want to, but that would be my only knock against it, is what time do I have to wake up and watch the game? Other than that, I'm for it. I'm for the brand, you know, going out and reaching out, or being sought after, should I say. You know, I no issues with Florida State going to Ireland. It's interesting that it's Georgia Tech as the opponent. But no issues. My only issue would be the time it comes on. And regardless of what time it came on, I'm probably going to watch regardless. So, but that would be my only issue. Brandon says, "Pope, what do you think the plan is for Amela? I know he's a natural left tackle, but that spot taken. Well, for this year, that spot taken, and I don't think he gets right tackle. I originally thought he would push, and he might still get in the rotation. You know, I really thought he might get the nod at right tackle. But from what I think, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty positive those three transfers are starting. Roddick, Jones, and Byers. And Byers is going to be at right tackle. I know they originally wanted to have him as a guard. I think they're going to put him at tackle. I've seen him. I think his arms are long enough to play tackle. He played tackle at UTEP. Now I know that's UTEP and not FSU, but they're going to try him off at tackle. And I think that's going to be those three guys are going to start. Obviously, Robert Scott's going to start. The only position what would be up for grabs would be, what am I missing? Nothing. Right? Am I missing a spot? Right guard? Who plays right guard, or assuming one of the guard spots? But Meach. Forgot about Meach. There you go. That's the whole purpose. I think they're moving Byers to right tackle. I forgot about that because Meach is still on the roster. And I don't see how all ACC second team offensive linemen ain't on the field come fall. Not saying he can't be beat out, but that's going to be hard pressed. So Armella just got to, hopefully, because I'm very high on Julian, but I don't think there's much to worry about there. He's a legacy kid. Dad played here. He's going to stick it out. I think he's also had coming off a procedure, so he's still working his way back. So that's a long way to answer to say Julian probably won't be as starter this year, but that doesn't mean they're not preparing him this year to be the starter next year. Was it Northwest Nebraska? Okay. It was 11:30. So that means, wonder what time they had to play. They probably had to play at night or something. I don't know. So if it's 11:30, I mean, again, I got no issues with the Ireland game. Only issue I would have if I had to wake up super early. But like I said, I'm gonna wake up early and watch the game anyway. Hell, when I was in Iraq, I was watching the Super Bowl at 3 a.m. So no big deal. Now this is where it gets interesting. If Meach doesn't get another year, then I do think, depending on the development of an Early or Armella or Bless, I won't completely sleep on Bless Harris, but depending on that, now maybe they do move Byers back inside. I think that's where they want him. I think that's where they think he can be all conference level, if not better, and get one of those longer, bigger bodies on the outside. And from what I'm hearing, Simmons is not someone to just gloss over just because he's a freshman. Some people with inside that program think you're talking about a future not number one overall, but a future first rounder in Lucas Simmons. So who knows, man? Jeff with another 10 bomb. Some sports show said which of the 3 Florida schools is going to be better within the next 5 years. And everyone said FSU, Gator. FSU said FSU. Well, I mean, FSU's in a spot where they're, again, I think the thing that was so beautiful about, and thank you for the $10, by the way, Jeff. Here, let me get this out the way so I can answer or get comment on your question, or not really question, but your statement. Marco, this for you.
Jeff.
The reason why this isn't a one-off Last year had the potential to be a one-off if Jordan doesn't come back, if Trey doesn't come back, if all those guys who were key contributors decided, I'm going to try to get some money. Last year had a chance to be, FSU was going to take a step back. But instead of taking a step back, they're going to at least be on par with what they were last year. So the reason why this bodes well for the next 5 years, this team essentially gives you a buffer to this really good class. You know, I keep saying the potential because ain't nobody signed yet. Hell, half of the guys that everybody think we're going to get ain't even verbally committed yet. But we're expecting a top 10 class at the minimum. Being able to stack that and some of these guys that you were able to get, like your Lucas Simmons and your Hakeem Williams, there's going to be, everything projects extremely well because Jordan Travis and all these guys came back. So not only can you be good in the immediate, but they give you a little bit of a buffer to continue that. It gives AJ Duffy gets another year to be the quarterback. And guess what? Even if AJ Duffy isn't the guy, Brock Glenn gets to not have to worry about being thrust into action this year. You know, and so on and so on. You can kind of say that about a lot of these guys that we have in the wings. Briley says, Scott, hold on. Scott, Byers, Roddick. If it's not Meach, then I do think that's a question at who's on that other guard spot. I'm not even against, honestly, they did the same thing. If you remember, Bama did this with Evan Neal. In his early years, they played him at guard till they got him ready to play tackle. I would not be against Armella dropping down the guard just to get him on the field if he's, you know, one of the more talented guys you have. So it's a possibility that, you know, Armella drops the guard or Bless drops the guard. You know, I think that's all those things are a possibility. Meach opens up a little bit more if he's not there, but if he is, you can pretty much lock in your top 5 guys on the offensive line. And that's true too. I forgot. You make a good point. And even so, you could probably still do it. Like, you can't forget about Mo. Shout out to Mo, because again, every time they bring somebody in to take his job, he does nothing but show up to the occasion and outperform. So yeah, worst case scenario, and I don't know if it's a worst case scenario, but you just slide Roddick over. Maurice plays this position that he's held down for the last 3 years. I think Maurice has been your center since Bavyon's left, if I'm not mistaken. And there you go. It's the day and age of the ball. It's just the day. It's the day and age of college football, bro. So I understand why, you know, it's just what it is. When guys don't start getting on the field, then I think we just automatically go to, is he going to transfer? It happens. Like, unfortunately, it's just the day and age of it. I think we're good. I don't think he's at that point yet. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. That's probably Jackson's probably the one that I have. Now, granted, I don't have any concerns about any of them. I have a hard time seeing the NCAA not giving Jackson a waiver, being that the transfer was for an ill parent that like can be confirmed, right? Like, we can confirm that. You know what I'm saying? I have a hard time believing the NCAA wouldn't approve that waiver. And I think he will get it. And yeah, from what you hear about Jackson and the spring ball so far, obviously a guy that size and can move the way he moves, but that shouldn't surprise anybody. Now, I wasn't trolling Miami fans when I told them Jackson might not be their most Jackson might have not been their interior D lineman with the highest ceiling. Obviously, that's Leonard Taylor, but Leonard Taylor was too inconsistent to be considered your best interior defensive lineman. You can't have 3 sacks against Virginia, but against the good teams, like a Florida State, you don't record one statistic. Yeah, that's not what a good defensive lineman does. Jackson was their best interior lineman last year. This just is what it is. They can point out specific games that Leonard Taylor ball, but then we can also go back and point out the games where he was a complete no-show. But Jackson was always there in the mix, always doing his job. So, again, it's not a troll. It's just the truth. We knew what he was. Hell, he tried. I mean, we knew he was big and could run when we saw him trying to run after Toafili on the wheel route. It's an egregious play call, but hey, we saw that he was actually could run a little bit. Now he ain't gonna catch up with no Toafili, but we knew what we were getting when we got him. 21 says, what do you think about recruiters saying that other coaches are telling them that Atkins won't be here for long? And why would they want to learn a different offense? Well, they got to find a way to negative recruit that guy. Here, I'm going to answer this question with this up here. So they got to find a way to negatively recruit this guy. So, of course, you can't say he can't coach. The proof's in the pudding. That offensive line has continuously got better year in and year out under Atkins. Can't say he can't recruit. So you got to say, well, he's not going to be there long, despite the fact that he just signed a raise and an extension. But we've had to talk as Florida State fans. We know as Atkins continues to do what Atkins does, he will get pursued for major jobs and not just offensive line coach or OC. Eventually, someone's going to say, come run my program. The question is, how long is he waiting for a specific job or the right job, Power 5 level job? Florida State might have a couple more years with him. I don't think, because I think Charlotte wanted him this past year and he didn't really budge on that, which I don't blame him. He's going to make more at Florida State as the OC than a Charlotte's going to pay him or any low-tier group of 5 school can pay him. Recruiters got to do that. Atkins should be absolutely flattered that they have to negatively recruit him. And the worst thing they can say about him is, oh, he's not going to be there long, so why would you go there and have to learn a new offense? Newsflash, Tony Tokars will be your next offensive coordinator. I think I called this a couple weeks or so ago. He's being groomed for the spot. Yes, Atkins won't be here forever, and that makes us all sad because we all love him. The fact is, Tokars will be the next up. Oh, and Mike Norvell is his offense anyway. Back to the comments. Don't forget about, Keandre Jones is definitely, as I said, I think all 3 transfers start. Marco says, not funny. I still have nightmares of Johnny. His name's spelled Jeff, not it's spelled like Yolf, but he said it's pronounced Jeff. Bavion went out bad. He didn't even participate in pro days. Yeah, man. Shout out to Bavion, Polk County. Wish he would have had a better career. Jeff says we got options on the O-line, which we didn't have in a long time. We going to the NCAA championship. Are y'all? Did y'all beat in Indiana? Jackson came into our strength and conditioning program, gained 20 pounds immediately. Sporadic says, I believe both get approved waivers, and that is the talk and expectation for Florida State. Atkins had NFL after him and head coaching jobs in college. No, I agree, but that doesn't mean he was going to take him right off the bat. Right? I think he's waiting for the right job. I don't think he'll be here forever. Could he shock us and be? I don't think so. I think most coaches, again, the Bobby Bowden era really like spoiled us, because if Mickey coached in this era, Mickey probably gets a head coaching job. Even Venables, who we thought would be tied with Dabo to the end of days, eventually went out there and took a head coaching job. Mickey to me is the greatest college defensive coordinator of all time, and nobody talks about it because of Bobby Bowden. But Mickey's as important as the dynasty years than Bobby Bowden was. if we're being honest. And I don't think you're not going to see that. I don't think, man. I think we'll never see that again. I don't think we'll ever see a head coach DC duo or something like that that'll spend their whole careers together like that. Mickey could have went and got a job at anywhere in the country he wanted to at any point, and he did not. And so yes, do I think Atkins loves it here? Yep. But Atkins will eventually go elsewhere. It's just the nature of the game in 2023. But he's not. How do I put it? He's not looking to leave. Like no offense to Kenny Dillingham, but it was obvious Kenny was looking. But Kenny ultimately ended up in a head coaching job, so he did it his way, and he navigated the process the right way. I'm not knocking Kenny, but Kenny went straight from Auburn, Florida State, Oregon head coach. Like he almost in consecutive years. I think he spent 2 years at Auburn. Kenny was actively, trying to get that job. Where I don't think Atkins is following that same game plan that a Dillingham, where he's more so building and he's going to wait for the job, I guess, that the right feel for him to go. If what I'm saying makes sense. Good Lord, do y'all remember when Bavion was our center? Forget Bavion. Do y'all remember when? Do you just forget Bavion for a second? Think of the old lineman around Bavion at that time. What was the kid from Northern Illinois' name? The sad part is about that, he was the best offensive lineman you had on that O-line that year. I forget that guy's name. He was the best guy you had. That's the good Lord part. The good Lord part is that guy from Northern Illinois who played tackle for us was the best O-lineman on that squad. That's how far we've came, y'all. That guy, he damn sure ain't a starter on this. I struggle to believe he'd be in the two deep rotation on this O-line, and I believe that. That ain't me blowing smoke at you. If y'all can put in the chat what his name, I forget his name. Forget that guy's name. But y'all know who I'm talking about. He wouldn't be a starter. I don't think he'd be in the two deep on this O-line. I really don't. But he was the best guy you had. And shout out to him because he was all you had. Chris, little boxing question. Prime Roy. I got Prime Roy Jones. And Jeff says, think we could be dominated again, but we're not going to have a run like we did in the 90s. That's hard to do. Well, you never know. But, running college football for a decade, I don't need to have a run like the 90s. I just need to, just give me let me get where Clemson and Ohio State is every year, where they're in the mix. Get me there. Get me there. I agree with you that running college football for a decade is probably a thing of the past. I mean, Georgia's trying to prove everybody wrong right now. They just went back to back, and even if you look at before I know people would joke that they had won a natty in 45 years, but look at all the years leading up to that. I mean, they was constantly in the mix, So Georgia's starting, or they're on their way to see if they can have that decade-long run that for them probably started in what? What was the year they lost to Bama in the national championship? What year was that? Probably from that year on, you can say that this has been the era of the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll see, though. POLK, do Miami and UF win 11 games combined? Ew. That's 5 and 6. I think 5 and 6 is probably feasible. I think, wow. I think Florida's going to have a rough season. They lost too much talent, and I don't feel like they replaced it. I'm not going to lie to you. That O-line, they glossed over how good their O-line was last year. That O-line was really good, and it's gone. Transfers and the draft has butchered that old offensive line. Talk all you want about Anthony Richardson, but I can make a case that he was the only reason why they won some games. Gervonta or Gervonta, whatever, that D tackle they had, beast. I think he's like projected in the first round himself. They had this is how I know Billy Napier trash. Because he pulled a Willie. that team he just inherited had a bunch of talent on it. And they found a way to only win 6 games. I think the talent level falls off a cliff this year. You go from Anthony Richardson to Mertz. Your running back room should still be pretty good, but the O-line's not going to be as good. The D-line, I don't think, is going to be as good. They still running out that 450-pound defensive lineman. At some point, you would think that kid would have lost some weight to be more effective of a player. He can't play more than 2 downs, and he got to come off the field. That guy, I said this last year, he's more of a liability than he is an asset. Like, they try to, he's 450. Yeah, well, that's not good. That's not good. He's too big. Florida, man, I don't know, man. Florida's not going to be good, in my opinion. The thing about Miami is they're breaking in brand new offensive and defensive schemes. I don't know how much better they're going to be. They at least get a quarterback back that we've seen have moments, and he's getting back to a similar offense where he had success. I question Miami's skill position players. I don't think they have a receiver that's worth a damn. We'll see about the running back room. The running back room stays injured, and they lost Knighton. So we'll see there. Just their skill position players as a whole, for offensively, I don't think are any good. I think their O-line will be improved. They added the kid from Bama. They added the center from UCF. And anytime you recruit 2 5-star tackles, like, if there's one thing I think they did extremely well, is they addressed their O-line and they addressed their linebacking core, though very young. But I don't think the skill position at Miami's any good. And I think their secondary isn't. I mean, they got Cam Kitchens, and outside of that, can y'all name a corner? Because I don't know who their corners are. Miami might be a little better than Florida, but Miami might be a 7-win team. Florida, 5 wins if they're lucky. I know that was pretty long, but yeah. I think I glanced at it. It's like trash. It's like a cakewalk. Like, they don't play anybody. What are the chances that we see both Duffy and Brock get some experience this season? Brock, I don't expect to get any experience. Brock should not see the field. I don't care if we're beating a team 100-0. Those snaps should all be given to Tate and Duffy because Travis is leaving. One of those guys have to be the heir apparent. Don't waste game critical. I don't care how big the blowout is. Don't waste critical game snaps on Brock Glenn. Unless you're telling me that you see more out of Brock Glenn right now than you see in both Duffy and Tate, and you think he's the heir. If you think Brock Glenn's the heir apparent, then go for it. I don't think that's the case. Give all those snaps to Tate Rodemaker and AJ Duffy. $20 dono from Jeff says, don't get me wrong. I think we can get on a run. We can go to the playoffs here, play for a natty once in a while. But to be finished top 5 every year, be tough. No, I agree. It'd be tough. But like I said, I think Georgia's on their way to try to accomplish that. They've started it. We'll see how they finish it. But I don't disagree. Again, I agree with you. I think it's extremely tough in this day and age to do that.
Never Jeff.
Yeah, more money. Yeah, more money.
If you're speaking about Florida, they play LSU, Tennessee, Georgia. FSU. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that Florida team, I don't think that'll be good. I really don't. The one thing that helps Miami is they have another cupcake. Miami has another soft schedule. Now, we said that last year, and they only won 5 games. Didn't even make a bowl game. I expect them to be marginally better. Just year 2 under Mario says they should be better. And the schedule's not hard. But they'll still lose to A&M. They'll still lose to the big dogs of the state. They'll probably lose to North Carolina again. The schedule's a little different, so I don't know who they all play, but I know their schedule's not very hard. I lost my mouse. Hold on. There we go. POLK, is this Jimbo's last year with A&M? I don't think so. If they didn't fire him after last year, I don't think Jimbo. It costs too much to fire Jimbo. Jimbo ain't going nowhere, y'all. Champs 99 says Brock will play 4 games, the amount before losing a red shirt. You think so? Because I don't. Why? Why? Again, not a knock on Brock. But don't you think those snaps would be more critical for guys who probably will be competing for the starting job next year in AJ Duffy and Tate Rodemaker? One thing I like about the Ireland game is it's week 0. So we get more practices and we also get extra bye. We actually end up with 3 byes. I didn't even know that, but that's good. Yeah, and good thing about the Ireland game is it's not, and I don't think it was this way last year for any team. And my guess is it won't be for any team that goes over there or goes over to Europe to play, whether it's Ireland or the UK or wherever. My guess is it's always going to be an opening week 0 or opening week 1 game. You can't do that like in the middle of the season. You're going to completely mess them kids up like that. So I think they'll always do it, early season, which is a good thing. And Marco says, I just hit the dislike. Really, bruh? Well, I need you to dislike is irrelevant. Hit one of them, but I really need you to hit that like button.
Go your motherfucking ass to sleep. Whoa, shit, what the fuck good buddy hit me with? I told him I wasn't sleepy. He had to have a brick in that bitch.
So, you got a point. That's something that they'll deduce here shortly in this as they pick up spring ball back this week after being off for spring break. If he's that guy, then I have no problem with it. My guess is he's not. And it's nothing wrong with saying a guy just has to develop. And that's okay. If he just has to develop, my guess is he just has to develop. But can he definitely come in there and prove everybody wrong? Sure. He absolutely can prove everybody wrong and be in the running for the starting job next year. I would argue that if he plays scout team this year, he'll be better off running the scout team come next year's quarterback competition than maybe getting into a game and even in a blowout getting his soul crushed or his feelings hurt. Ray says you should give those snaps to Duffy and Glenn. Forget Tate. Tate is not ready to be a starter. I don't know if Tate's ready to be a starter either. I don't try to hate on Tate, but I'm clear that one half of football has not made me quite a believer that if Jordan was to go down, we'd be in good hands. Though I think Tate has gotten better, obviously. Can he, and to his credit, he he won you the game against Louisville. He was, throwing. They simplified it, but I mean, I also got to give credit to Louisville for thinking that Jarvis Brownlee could cover anybody one-on-one, let alone a 6'7" wide receiver. So Louisville didn't exactly do themselves any favors with that. But I mean, he was the one having pitch and catch with Johnny Wilson in that second half. And, I think they simplified it to a degree. Didn't ask him to do too much. But again, that's just a half of football. Can you do that for a game of football? At some point, you got to take the shackles off of Tate. And I don't know. It's like that's something I want to see. Like I want to see them take the handcuffs off of Tate and give him the whole offense, but I'm scared to death to see it. You know what I mean? So, but I think ultimately Tate, he's been here this long. I think they're gonna go with him. There's one guy who should know the playbook as well as Jordan. It should be Tate Rodemaker, right? So we'll see, though, man. We'll see. 21 says Tate doesn't look comfortable behind center most of the time from what we've seen thus far. And Tyler says you got to give Tate his snaps. Marco hates Tate, but he loves Andrew Tate. Didn't he get in some trouble, Andrew Tate? I do think we see Brock in a big blowout or two against Miami or something. I like how you threw that in there. Yeah, if we see him, it'll be against Miami for sure. Absolutely. Good point from Tyler right there. Good point. But yeah, man, hit the like button if you didn't hit it. We done went an hour and 40 strong. I'm feeling good. Had a good but I see the chat has slowed down slightly, though the number's still pretty good. Still got 60 plus in here. Still hovering around the 60 to 70 mark. So if y'all want to continue the conversation, continue the question, I'm down. We hit on the Dustin Hill part, so if you missed that, we spent a good amount of the stream talking about Dustin Hill and whether or not he's coming or not, and then what should our expectations be if he does come. Spring ball starts back up this week, so that is a plus. Look for some great clips coming from FSU media. Gotta love it. I'm trying to think what else has happened over spring break recruiting. We're trending in all the right directions when it comes to recruiting. A lot of crystal balls, man. Just not a lot of verbal commits yet. And that's fine. I'm much rather get the guys to commit when they're ready than have them all commit now. And come September, we got decommitments and not even because any fault of our own, just because, you get guys to commit early and other things happen during the season and all those things. So I think FSU's in a great place recruiting wise, but I feel like that 2021 year started off this well. That Travis Hunter, Sam McCall year, it started off well like this. You had Travis Hunter, Sam McCall, Abdul Bello, I think was his name, offensive lineman. You had Travion Williams, a defensive end out of a lot of big time guys we had early in that class that ended up, and we know how that class ended. So I just get reserved a little bit when talking recruiting because it's a different age of recruiting. The good part of recruiting now is that the early signing period, I do think when a kid commits in August, September, October timeframe, they're usually locked because they're signing in December. And if you commit and you're not actively if you're not actively taking visits, you're not all of a sudden about to open your recruitment back up with 2 weeks left. You know what I'm saying? Though they don't have to sign, but that seems to be the trend for these kids. They like to get the recruiting process over with in December. So that's the positive of the new age of recruiting. But the negative is, I mean, just everything else that comes with it. You think you got a guy, and then at the last minute, you get the boy from Florida, the quarterback. I forget his name. That Jaden. You get Rashada, where it becomes a buying game. It becomes a money game. You know, only for him to end up at Arizona State with Kenny Dillingham. Wild times. That's kind of the negative part of recruiting. Ray says you can know the playbook all you want, but when you get to put that fire, Tate usually folds. The game is still fast to him. Well, if the game's still fast to him now, then yeah, eventually you got to move on from him. You know, but they figured out a way for that game to slow down against Louisville, and I'm interested to see we never got to see if Tate built off of that performance because Travis came back and he was healthy. But I would be interested to know or see if that was the moment that it clicked for him, or if that was a flash in the pan moment. What do you think about Travis J this year? I hope he's the answer we need at that safety spot. I hope he gives us that third wheel. Again, last year we were spoiled with Jamie, and I know people like to knock Akeem because I don't think he had the season some were expecting, but he was good enough that they would move Jamie down, throw Shaheem back there, and you'd be playing 3 safeties on the field at one time because they were able to do different things with Jamie. I'm hoping Travis J can be maybe not Jamie, but versatile enough in that mold to give you that. I have big hopes for him. I'll say that. Do you see any of these press circuits that Luke did last couple of weeks? Impressive young man. Hope he keeps developing. I think I listened briefly to one of the interviews he has. But yeah, Luke, there's no mystery. I'm trying to think of the wording, but it loses me at the moment. Or no coincidence that he's skyrocketed up recruiting rankings. He's skyrocketed up just the buzz of the quarterbacks. I mean, more schools are paying attention to him now. And none of that is coincidental when it comes to Luke. So absolutely, you're absolutely right. And there's a reason why a lot more schools are trying to, put their dirty little fingers in there. But Florida State was we jumped on him early when nobody else did, and I think there's one thing. I think Tony has a chance to show that he can be a big time quarterback recruiter. I already give Tony Cocards a decent amount of credit for getting Brock Glenn back on board. I never cared about whether Chris Parsons stayed or went, as long as you got a quarterback. We couldn't afford to not sign another quarterback. We needed, we needed a quarterback this class, and Tony gets a lot of credit for that. If you can, it was good that you got on Luke early, but can you close the deal on him? I expect that he will. I expect that he will close on Luke, and this would be a big feather in his cap on the maybe young, promising career of Tony Tokarz. If you guys can't tell, the more I watch Tony, the more I have become a fan of his. I think Tony Tokarz is a solid football coach. Tyler says, what do you think is the strongest room on the roster? It's between D-line and that running back room. And I can't discount the quarterback room, but that's only because Travis is that good, right? We don't know if his backups are that good, but we know Travis is that good. So I'll discount the quarterback room. But I think the running back room, we're probably legit 4 deep. That's why I said if Trey Benson, again, knock on wood, was to get hurt, I'm not sure we skip a beat. Keziah Holmes, Toa Feely, Rodney Hill, we still be good. And don't even sleep on the freshman coming in Singletary. Like I think the running back room's pretty stacked. And the D-line room is absolutely insane. You got Verse back. We already know what that is. Pat Pat's going to take that next step into superstardom, I believe. I called Pat this time last year. I said, watch out for Pat. Pat's coming. He came. Pause. And here he is. And I think he's going to take that next step this year. With the right season, Pat could be 2 and done. With the right season. Bring in Gilbert Edmond. You still got D-Mac, who I know a lot of people are high on D-Mac, but he's still a solid rotation guy. Like if you got a guy that you're going to bring in off the bench, and who knows, maybe D-Mac starts. I find a hard time that D-Mac sees the starting job opposite of Verse this year. But just having him as a rotation guy is valuable in and of itself. That's not even, we ain't even reached the inside of the D-line yet. D-line, bruh, running back room, probably your 2 strongest positions. I am still in Texas, 21. Oh, yeah. When his mama called him Norvy, it's rap. Cam ain't going nowhere. It's rap. When she said, that's my Norvy, that was it. I think the ESP won't be around much longer. Coaches are getting killed during the most important part of the season, especially with the 12-team play. You don't think early sign period? I think they love it, though. You don't think it'll be around, though? You know, when you say coaches are getting killed, I'm assuming you're talking about losing jobs, and I think you make a valid point there. That is the early signing period is the period where they fire all the coaches, and then it becomes asking for national letters of intent and NLIs to be released. You know, release me out of this, and all those things. Though the portal has kind of swayed that too, where it's like, okay, well, just hit the portal with no penalty, right? But a kid shouldn't have to use his one portal spot that early if he doesn't have to. So I can see both arguments of that. I think it's been so successful. I'm not sure it goes anywhere. And basketball's always had it. But to your point, that time of the year is the year where the major coaching changes happen. From firings, and then, you know, Lincoln Riley's pulling a move in the middle of the night to go to Oklahoma, to USC. The big time coaching moves definitely happened around that time. So you're right. Tate has the tools, but I think he's lacking competence. I've always said Tate has an arm. Tate has a big arm, but he obviously lacks some confidence. The speed has always been a problem for him. Those things have always been glaring, but. Well, Brock Glenn may have changed that now, but up until Brock Glenn arrived, I thought Tate had the biggest arm out of the quarterbacks. Brock Glenn may have changed that. Polk, did you see how big Kirkland is on the spring practice pics? He looks like a linebacker playing corner. Yeah. Don't forget Jaheim Bell can play running back too. Yeah, but I don't think you need to do that unless it's an emergency situation. But you're right. Again, a running back room's insane. I think Surtain's going to do Surtain is going to work with what he has to work with. But I really think you're going to see the benefit of Pat come recruiting time. Starting with Lester. But it doesn't end there. It's going to start with Lester, but it won't end there. And we talked about this on here before. At this point, Lester is yours to lose. Something has to drastically go wrong in this recruitment, in this season. Like Nick Saban would have to suddenly retire, and then Alabama poach Mike Norvell, which obviously wouldn't happen. But you get like something would have to drastically happen for you to fumble the bag on Lester at this point. I don't disagree with that. But a lot of that has to do with, again, no knock on CJ, the scheme we're running as well. If there's one thing Norvell showed from day one is that he could run the football. Remember how LaDamian Webb used to look for us? So everybody thought he was the future of Florida State's running back room. He was only here for a year. One thing Norvell showed from the jump is that he knows how to utilize his backs. I wholeheartedly think CJ would definitely benefit if he was called on. Since you're in Texas, you think Arch Manning? Hell no. No. Arch Manning will not beat out Quinn Edwards. And I'll say this right now. By the end of the season, Texas is in a weird spot this year. But they got a quarterback that I think, man, by the end of the season, you'll be talking about Quinn Edwards potentially being a number 1 overall pick in 24. Like, for real. He was not the same. And here's the thing about Quinn. When he hurt that shoulder against Bama, he did not come back the same guy. But I seen all I needed to see that first time. That Bama game. Then he hurt that shoulder. They probably rushed him back a little bit. No, Arch won't beat out Quinn. And Quinn will be one of the better quarterbacks by the end of the season. And he'll be going into 2024 with a ton of hype. Heisman hype. And draft hype. No, I mean coaches are trying to close out on entire recruiting classes and prepare the team for the playoffs. I get you. But I don't think, I don't know. We're talking about like the teams that are routinely in the playoffs. I'm not so sure they get affected by the early signing period as much as maybe we think. I think a Kirby Smart likes the fact that 90% of his class is wrapped up by December 15th or whatever the case may be. And that he can solely focus on the playoff. You know? That's just me, though. Let's tell lies. I'm getting 2013 vibes with these teams. Okay, so you are telling some lies, but I hear you a little bit. But you're definitely telling a little lie, a little fib. 2013 vibes. Let's be honest. And we'll close on this next conversation because we're about the 2-hour mark, and we're after dark, but it is 10 o'clock going on to 11 Eastern time. But we'll close on that. I don't think we had 2013 vibes before 2013. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself. Now, I know what Jameis did in the spring game. Had us telling some elite lies that year. I'm not going to, yeah. Let's not pretend. Like Jameis in that spring game, you know, Jameis had one of the most epic spring games. If there is a thing, Jameis had the greatest spring game of all time. Came straight from playing baseball to the spring game, and he was torching LaMarcus Joyner in the spring game. The same LaMarcus Joyner that ended up as a Thorpe Award finalist. He got invited to New York for the Thorpe Award. Crazy, right? But even with all that, let's be honest, we didn't think 2013 was going to be 2013. I didn't. 2013 turned into the single most dominant football season we may have seen, and then LSU came around in 2019. But 2013, we didn't see that. We didn't see that. But maybe I'm speaking for myself. Edwards could leave after this year. Can he? Yeah, he can. You know, you're right, because he redshirted. He had 1 year at Ohio State, transferred. Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. I just want y'all to beat LSU again. I thoroughly enjoy that SEC ass whooping. Who's Louisville's out of conference games, Marco? Y'all have any big out of conference games this upcoming year? And Briley says, if anything, they'll move early sign period like start of the season. That would be very interesting. That would be crazy. That would be That would be interesting. I'm not so sure kids would do it though. I think maybe not a lot. I do think there's a good amount of kids, though, that they would want to see. Florida State probably don't get Hakeem, right? Now, granted, Miami sucked too, and that's probably the only other team that was really in the running, him being from South Florida. The Miami sucking helped a lot. But if FSU didn't have a good, didn't show that they were taking the steps to win football games, do you get Hakeem if he has to sign in August or September or whatever the case? I'm not so sure, man. I don't know. And that's interesting, though. I'm not against it. It's just very interesting. Very interesting. That would be an interesting dynamic to get kids to early sign before games are played. I'm so glad Texas and Oklahoma are joining the SEC. Now, this will make GA have to play better talent to get the championship game. POLK, is Rashad Green top 3 receiver in FSU? Rashad Green is the top 2 wide receiver. I'm partial to the guy that you see above me as the GOAT, but in all unbiasedness, if I take my bias out of the fact that Peter Warrick was who I was watching as a kid, and I watched him just do incredible things. But if I take all of that away, my bias for Peter Warrick, if I put that to the side, statistically, impact on games, big moments. Look at Clemson in 2013. Hell, look at Oklahoma, I think 2 years before that. Any big game Florida State was in, I want you to go watch Rashad Green. Look at the national championship game. Big game, big moments, needed a play, needed a guy to catch the ball. Look at his stats. Rashad Green is arguably the greatest wide receiver in the history of the school. From everything from numbers to big moments. He won a natty just like that guy won a natty. The only thing that gives P-Dub the edge over Rashad is P-Dub did a little bit of everything. He could return punts and kicks and all of that stuff as well. I mean, against Virginia Tech, the man, caught a touchdown, returned a punt for a touchdown. P-Dub was that. Rashad wasn't quite that. But just as a pure receiver, I mean, I think he's top 2. I don't. Other than Peter Warrick, I don't know who you'd put over him. That's just me, though. That's the point. It reinvigorates the February signing day and allows coaches to lock guys down too. We have the best quarterback going to the season. Every game we play, I think we can win the conference. I'm not going to say natty yet. Not sure. Good point, though. I think every game next year, we probably have the best quarterback. So I'm with you. I think week 1's going to be a hell of a battle. Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis is going to be fun. That game's going to be fun. LSU had a good recruiting class. They loaded up in the portal as well. LSU's looking prime. They had a solid season. I know their season didn't finish off the right way they blew out. I think they played Purdue in the same stadium we played Oklahoma, and they destroyed them, but they got blown out in the SEC championship game. But no, I'm with you. LSU is going to be looking for their own playoff potential this year. And you could argue that they're going to have the talent to do it as well. It's going to be an absolute war. I believe Clemson loses to Duke in their opener. That would be crazy. I don't think Duffy ever starts at QB. Coming from Zoe. Maybe not. I hope one day we do see Duffy. And if we don't see him, I hope it's because we over-recruited him and Luke turned out to be the next Jameis or something. If that's the case, then I don't have an issue with it. But not giving up on Duffy. Indiana, Kentucky, y'all play every year, so that one doesn't count as an out-of-conference game. I mean, that's like us playing Florida, right? That's y'all rival. I get it. Yeah, so those should be 2 wins. Ray agrees, and Champ says, Rod Seller. Look, Champ, I don't know how old you are. I'm not old enough to have watched in the 70s and 60s Ron Sellers and Fred Biletnikoff. I understand the awards named after him and all that, and I understand like they're big names in Florida State. Don't care. I didn't watch those guys, So I guess I'll say in the modern era of football, When did Ron Sellers play? I know Frank was. I mean, I Google pictures and the first thing I see is black and white. Like, bro, he was 6'4", 205 though. Shout out to Ron. He's still alive. He's 76 years old. Yeah, bro played in 67. Shout out to Ron Sellers, man. I just, it's just how I feel. Jim Crow was still a thing when Ron Sellers played football, is the way I see it. So, but that doesn't mean they're not legends in their own right. Shout out to them. And with all that said, y'all, we hit the 2-hour mark. Hit my like button on the way out. If you did not hit it on the way in, this was a great Sunday chatting it up with y'all. Hadn't spoken to y'all all week, so this one felt good. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. And yeah, don't worry, man. I know y'all see that big white wall behind me, but I made some moves. I did some rearranging, so the bar's still here. My screen's in the way, but we finally we doing some things, man. We making some moves, and don't worry, that wall will be filled up with some stuff here eventually, shortly. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to put back there. But like I said, man, as always, is your boy POLK over on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, my Seminoles, and I am out here. Go Noles. And I expect to see me later on this week, Wednesday. Hangover, it's coming at you. Should be a lot to talk about. With spring ball kicking back up. But I'm out here, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all Sunday night.